Hey everyone, thanks for joining the International Accelerator Startup Showcase. My name is CS Freeland and I'm the platform director here at the International Accelerator. I help support our portfolio companies in the accelerator itself to bring foreign-born founders to the US and scale their startups. Following our agenda today, our founder and CEO Angelos will share some brief updates, and then we'll move through to the founder pitches and hear from 3 of our portfolio companies, all in the health tech, HR tech, and ed tech spaces. And we left some room for Q&A for a couple of minutes at the end of every presentation, and you'll just want to use the chat box for that. But for now, we've got Angelos, super excited to share some words with y'all. Go ahead and take it away, Angelos.
Thank you, Krista. My name is Angelos Angelou, and I'm excited to welcome you all. So first of all, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you may be listening or watching this showcase. I am the founder and CEO of the International Accelerator, which was created about 5.5 years ago. So we are the only accelerator that we know of in the US that is focused exclusively on foreign-born entrepreneurs. The services that we offer to our portfolio companies is assistance with fundraising, free housing, business development, free incorporation in both in Delaware and in Texas, a lot of mentors, and legal assistance, if you will, provide them with the opportunity for lots of pitching events, recruiting and marketing, and relocation assistance, as well as engagement with many of our partners to receive perks or other credits. The International Accelerator has 18 portfolio companies from 11 different countries. We've already returned nearly 270% to our investors in our small initial fund, likely to return over 1,000% to these investors in the next few years. Our companies collectively have raised over $70 million, and currently they have a valuation of about 520 million plus. So we're very excited about them. I want to introduce you our new team. You've already met CS Freeland, who is our platform manager and the MC of this event. And Krista, you're doing a great job so far. Thank you. I also want to introduce you to Eric Kapinas, our COO, George Kafouros, who is our sales and business development director, as well as Vivian Maka, who is our marketing manager. So we're all pretty excited that we're able now to have full staff that will support all of our portfolio companies. Speaking of the portfolio companies, I want to apprise you that we have 2 unicorn companies in the making, and one more possibly in the next year or so. We will know exactly where they may be in terms of their unicorn status. And yet another company that might be a $350 to $450 million potential exit. Some of the other ones are too new for us to be able to assess, but we are definitely blessed with some exciting foreign-born entrepreneurs and startups that they are extremely promising. We offer mentorships. We have over 35 mentors and experts for our portfolio companies. And those mentors are based here in Austin, in Texas, and sometimes from around the US. And what I'd like to say is next month, starting tomorrow, we are beginning a new competition for attracting applicants to the International Accelerator by offering up to 3 $25,000 convertible notes for those that we deem to be a good fit for our accelerator. And I hope to receive hundreds, if not thousands, of applicants through that process. And I'm very excited to say that while our initial fund was experimental and very limited in size, we're contemplating to raise a $50 million fund to fund many of our portfolio companies in the future. Some maybe at seed stage, most of them in the bridge to Series A and definitely Series A funding. So it is our belief that this new fund will give us the ability to scale our program and provide funding to some of the most promising companies in our portfolio. I want to thank you for your attendance. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any one of our staff. I'm delighted that you are participating today and hope that we can continue engaging with investors like you throughout the world in the months and years to come. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for those updates, Angelos. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the founder pitches. Again, we have some Q&A time at the end, so feel free to drop any questions that you've got into the Q&A section, and Eric will be helping with that. First of all, we've got Akshay. His company is called Nash and was recently accepted into Draper Startup Bangalore, which is so awesome. As a side note, Draper is about to become a really great partner of ours, and we're very excited about that. A little bit about Nash. Nash is building technology to gauge employee sentiment by enabling conversations, NLP-driven analytics, actionable activities, and psychology. They are really hitting it out of the ballpark with gaining traction in both India and the US, and there's a lot of great possibilities with that. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. Go ahead and take it away, Akshay.
Thank you so much, CS. Thanks for the intro. Hey, everyone. It's glad to be presenting to you guys. I'll be sharing my screen here in a second. All right. So my name is Akshay. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nash, and we help organizations build happy workplaces using AI and psychology. So we are solving an age-old problem that has been lingering around for decades. That is the culture problem through employee engagement. So most of the organizations, they conduct employee engagement surveys annually, which does not really get them data in real time. Also, more than 80% of the employees go through survey fatigue because they face the same questions again and again every time these surveys are conducted. And that's because the tools are not really optimized to conduct these surveys, because most of the organizations use tools like SurveyMonkey and Google Forms. But once they conduct these surveys, most of the HRs and CXOs, they don't even know what to do with data and end up spending thousands of dollars to hire consultants and come up with an implementation plan, which more than usual does not work. And that's because survey is just a one-way communication. There is no proper platform where employees can communicate back and forth with their upper management. So we solve all these problems using Nash, specifically using a process known as Deming cycle, through which we continuously diagnose, analyze, and solve people problems. Problems like employee engagement, attrition, motivation, turnover, etc. Not only do we help the organizations identify the challenges, but also use psychology, specifically nudge theory in combination of various other psychological concepts to address those challenges. And we work with professional counselors and psychologists to be able to do this. So we have three mission pillars that we try to instill in our client organizations. One is the sense of family, second is trust, and third is transparency. We understand that each organization may have their own unique culture, but research has shown that the foundation of every culture boils down to these three pillars, and that's why we focus on these. We are operating in a very big market. based on Gartner, Aon, Grandview, and Adobe reports, the market is somewhere above $75 billion, with more than $2 billion expenses from the organizations towards employee engagement every year. And that is before COVID. COVID has only accelerated this number even further. So the traction so far, we have about 22 clients in just a short span of 6 months, and divided between 3 continents and 3,000 users. And all these clients came from $0 of marketing expenses, all 100% outbound. And with that, we have a user growth growing at a rate of 40% month over month. And that is coming from the organizations at a scale closing rate of at least 2 organizations per week. And because of the unique approach that we take towards a culture problem, we have a very high engagement, 28% higher than the industry average, which allows us to identify and resolve more than 90% of the problems, which is again 60% higher than the industry average. We have 2 revenue models for North American and European markets. We charge $5 per user per month for organizations up to 500 people. And for the APAC market, we charge $500 per month for organizations up to 500 people. We do have competition. On the left side, Infido and Culture Monkey are our competitors in the APAC region, and Humo in the US region. We do stand out in 3 evident ways. One is that our solution goes beyond diagnosis. So we don't just help organizations identify the challenges, but as I mentioned, use psychology to address these challenges as well. And because when we apply these specific psychological concepts, we do it on a very customized way, right down to each employee of the organization. So we touch each employee on an individual and personalized level, and we do it in a scalable way. And also we train our algorithms based on the data provided by the organizations and their employees, which allows us to have an edge and make our algorithms proprietary. We are 2 co-founders with a combined experience of more than 12 years, with 1 exit in each under our belt. I personally look over BD and operations, and my co-founder, Daksh, looks over the technical side. We have a great advisory team as well, who helps us drive the product deeper and add more value to our organizations. We are seeking $400,000 right now to reach 300,000 users, capping at $4 million at 30% discount. We are going to be focusing on mainly North American and APAC markets for now. And based on the breakdown here, because we are at a scalable stage, we are spending 60% on marketing and sales, 10% each on product and R&D, and 20% on hiring. Why now is a good time? So competition for talent has gotten intense. Research has shown again that engaged employees are motivated, loyal, and less likely to leave. Also, most of the organizations lack a 2-way communication. Survey is not a 2-way communication, but there are many, and that's why many problems just don't surface. And we provide that 2-way communication. And since last year, work from home has become rampant in most of the organizations who have made that move permanently. And they are looking for solutions like this, which allows them to keep a pulse on their employees. Thank you so much. I would love to hear any questions if you may answer them.
Okay, Akshay, it looks like we have a couple of questions here.
Absolutely.
The first one is, has Nash raised any money yet during its stay with the International Accelerator or before?
We have not yet. We are bootstrapped so far.
Okay. The next one I have is the platform available in any other languages?
It's available only in English for now, but we do have plans to make it available in a couple of other languages a few months from now.
Okay. Some other ones I have here is, can you correlate to employee retention or turnover yet?
Can I correlate employee retention to turnover?
Yeah.
Yes. So there are more than one ways to figure out why the turnover is. There are many factors, basically. So Nash definitely allows you to dive deeper into those factors. Like we have various features like heat map and word cloud, which allows people to not only understand what the problems are, but where they're coming from, so that they could understand deeper patterns and why there is a lack of retention or why people are dropping out.
Okay. Another one we have is, since culture takes years usually to change, when and how can you show that this method was effective for being responsible for culture change?
Yes, culture does take its time. For what really something that we could show right off the bat is the challenges that the organizations are facing. As I mentioned, we have features in place that allows people to initiate conversation, giving a two-way communication. It allows people to initiate conversations anonymously, which allows then again HRs and CXOs to identify problems which may not have surfaced otherwise, which will definitely accelerate the process of them figuring out the solution to those, implementing it, and then eventually getting the right culture in place.
Okay, thanks for that. Another one we have is, what kind of personal data do you collect from users, and how do you process it for results, and how do you protect this data?
Just basic stuff. So all the data we need when we onboard is the name of the employees, their email addresses, their job start date, what department do they belong to, who do they report to. That's all. I would like to let people know that we are GDPR compliant, and we are already working with a couple of organizations based in Europe. So data privacy is of utmost importance to us.
And the last one we have here is, how has the pandemic affected your business?
It has actually accelerated our business. As I mentioned, a lot of organizations have gone work from home, some of them permanently, and they are on the lookout for something that keeps the employees engaged, even though they are scattered all across the place. So it has definitely accelerated our business.
Okay, I guess we have a couple more coming in here. Is your data being used to assess managers' performance for the user's company?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Sure. It says, is your data being used to assess a manager's performance within the company?
Yeah, but not on the KRA level. We don't look at the objectives and the goals that the organization set, but we do look at the sentiments of the people, the challenges that they're talking about, and how managers are handling them. So from that perspective, yes.
And another one we have is, how many employees do you currently have?
It's me and my co-founder who are full-time. Then we have a counselor and a psychologist who are working part-time with us. And then we have our advisors. So we're a small team.
All right, sir. Well, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Just grab the screen. Okay. And next up, we have Ruben from B-Readers. B-Readers is building a digital platform that supplements K through 12 to promote Spanish literacy skills using adaptive learning in a game-like environment. So Ruben and B-Readers was actually the first startup out of our portfolio that went from 0 to 1.1 million revenue in under just 12 months. So super impressive. And they have truly built a one-of-a-kind solution with authentic and original content, all very culturally relevant. And They've got over 1,000 courses and now serve over 110,000 students from Wisconsin to Patagonia. And just to brag on them a little bit more, last year they were recognized as one of the top 10 educational innovation companies by Google Cloud and Global Silicon Valley. So how's that for an intro, Ruben? Over to you.
Thank you, CS. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. As CS said, I'm the CEO and co-founder of BeReaders. Our company created a digital reading comprehension platform for K-12 Spanish-speaking students. Since we started selling in March 2020, we've reached over $1.2 million in revenue. We are currently serving 115,000 students in a little bit more than 220 schools. And the average ticket size per school today is around $6,000 per school per year. We started this company because, according to international assessments, over 50% of Spanish-speaking students don't understand what they read. Also, in the US school system, around 80% of fourth grade Latino students do not read at the proficient level in English. The same research shows that if they were able to improve reading comprehension in their native language, Spanish, then the acquisition of English will be much more successful. For more context, Spanish is the second most widely spoken language in the world, with over 400 million native speakers. 100 million of them are K-12 Spanish-speaking students in Latin America, Spain, and the US combined. And for even more context, 1 in 4 students in the US school system today is Latino. This is the fastest growing K-12 student population, according to the Census Bureau, and it's gonna keep growing fastly. By 2030, it's gonna be 1 in 3 students. So that's why we created this digital reading comprehension platform that improves the overall learning proficiency of native Spanish-speaking students by improving the reading comprehension in Spanish first, using adaptive learning in a game-like environment. This platform works very well for classroom and remote use. In class, BeReaders is a supplemental program to support hybrid instruction. At home, it's an engaging student platform for effective remote learning. We also offer 2 other platforms, one for educators, another one for families. Both of them facilitates ongoing connections with Spanish-speaking families and the school system. We also offer real-time analytics, which is meaningful reports for educators and families. And the students version also works offline thanks to our offline mobile app. Thanks to that, we make sure that even students learning from home with limited access to internet connectivity or computers can benefit. In terms of competition, we have 2 different ways to take a look at this. The first one is where most of companies in the US school system, are using trans-adapted or translated materials from English into Spanish. BeReaders is featuring authentic Spanish content from all over the Spanish-speaking world. And secondly, where most of companies in the US are using third-party test and leveling systems like Fountas and Pinel or Lexile for Spanish, we created our own reading placement test and leveling system. Our business model is a traditional B2B subscription model. Our customers are schools and school districts. We charge $14 per student per year in Latin America and $20 per student per year in the US and Mexico. The average ticket size per school per year is $6,000 as of today. This is the sales growth evolution in the first 14 months of our history. We started selling in March 2020. Since then, we've closed more than $1.2 million in contracts. We are serving 115,000 students from Wisconsin to Patagonia as of today. We are currently fundraising. We're seeking $1.2 million to achieve the $3.5 million ARR mark by the end of this year. We already closed $840,000 for this round. This is a pre-Series A safe round with a $10 million cap at 20% discount. 35% of the money almost will be used for product development to keep building more content. 34% is for sales and marketing, and 31% for operations. We are two co-founders that have been working in this space for over 10 years. We are a 52 full-time employees team right now, distributed in 7 different countries, 6 countries in Latin America and the US. Altogether, we combine more than 40 years of experience in this industry. So happy to answer any questions you may have. And yeah, thanks for having me and having the readers in this event. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ruben. We do have a couple questions. The first one is, are you familiar with Lingo language, who's also in this space?
Not necessarily familiar with them. I have just a little bit of information. I understand that they are mostly on the teaching languages business. We don't teach students to speak Spanish. They already speak Spanish. We just help them to improve their reading comprehension in their native language.
Cool, perfect. Another one we have here is, how have you been able to correlate proficiency in your product to English capability?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've been working on a couple of pilots and research. Now we're repeating the same with a couple of US foundations that will help us to understand this better. According to the research, we already have, if students improve the reading comprehension in their native language, then the acquisition of the second language will be much more successful. This is something that the US school system already understood. They are implementing a number of dual language and bilingual programs almost in every single state as of today. Texas is one of the most active states in this regard. And yeah, at this point, the US school system has a lot of resources to implement this kind of softwares and platforms like B-Readers.
Okay. Another one we have here is, what is the gross margin on $20 per student?
It's a very nice margin. We currently spend around $4 or $5 per student per year. We cannot say that the rest is margin, but around 50% should be a fair estimation at this point.
All right, thank you. Another one we have is, are there any agencies or foundations that help subsidize the cost of your product to lower income schools?
In the US specifically, there are a lot of different sources of money for this, which is federal money and state money as well. For instance, B-Readers can be purchased with Title I and Title III dollars. So in that case, the government is the one who's paying for this kind of products. So we don't need any kind of foundations paying for this. In Latin America, it's a bit different. It will depend on each country, but we're mostly focused on middle-class private schools in most of the countries where we are currently working. In Chile, it's a bit different as well. We do have federal money in this country where we can find resources to pay for this.
Okay. Another one we have is, what is your roadmap for future capability or refinements to what you have today?
Yeah, we're currently working on including writing. So we have reading comprehension. Next step will be writing. We're also including social emotional learning and STEM next year. The idea is building a whole ecosystem around Spanish and building kind of a bridge between Spanish and English. Spanish is a very underserved language. And we believe that there is a niche there, and we want to take advantage of it.
Okay, another one is, what is your customer acquisition plan for US schools?
Well, we are starting in the top 5 states in the US in terms of Spanish speaking population, which are Texas, California, Florida, New York, and Illinois. We created independent sales teams on each one of these states. Currently, we are creating a number of webinars, events for school districts. We're also participating in specific conferences like the National Association for Bilingual Education this week, where we presented yesterday. and the day before as well. And yeah, we're addressing directly the school district that have the largest population in Spanish. We believe that that's kind of the best strategy as of today. The purchaser is the school district, so we need to address them directly.
Okay. Does your product serve blind or deaf students?
Not yet, but we'd love to include that next as a next step.
Okay. Another one is, besides comprehension, will B-readers have a roadmap for STEM comprehension?
Yeah, definitely. We're transitioning starting next year from B-readers to B-learning. So we're building a whole ecosystem around the Spanish language, serving K-12 students and also the students in higher education and beyond that. That's kind of the dream that we have.
Okay. Do you have any plans to target the Indian market?
Oh, that's like the big challenge for us. We believe that Spanish has a lot of work to do. In the next 2-3 years, we should be able to take an advantageous position in here first. Well, and who knows, maybe next big challenge is going to be India as well.
Right. And it looks like our last one here is, have you ever had any communications with any large publishers for a partnership or an acquisition? Yeah,
actually, when we started with the acceleration program with International Accelerator in March 2020, part of the strategy we created was talking directly with the industry leaders, Pearson, McGraw-Hill, HMH, and others. We spoke with almost every one of them in between March, April, June last year. In September, we started receiving proactive communication from a number of companies inviting us to be part of their portfolio of products. And actually a couple of them asked for a price, and we said, well, that's flattering, but the company is not for sale yet. And we're still in conversations with a couple of them. And we believe that a part of those companies will make offers in the next years for an exit. So yeah, we are talking to them, but making sure that we have something valuable to offer first.
All right. Well, good stuff, Ruben. Appreciate you answering all those questions, and great job.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, sharing my screen with everyone. Well, finally, we have Konstantin. He's in early development of a company called Smartpak. And Smartpak is an EMS real-time inventory management system embedded into state-of-the-art carrier gear. So Konstantin's a really bright young entrepreneur with a lot of passion, who's discovered a problem while working with his employer and now putting together a solution for that. We do think this employer is potentially close to becoming a strategic funding source, in addition to being the pilot as well. What I personally love about Smartpak is it's kind of like the Amazon Go store, but for the doctor's bag. So I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. Go ahead, Konstantin.
Okay. All right, are you able to see my presentation okay?
Looks good.
All righty. Thank you, CS, for the intro. Thank you for everyone for your time, and thank you to the Accelerator for the opportunity to present today. My name is Konstantin Milam. I am the founder and CEO of Smartpak Systems. I am also a 23-year-old college student and 911 paramedic. Working as a paramedic in the field, I've encountered some interesting problems you might not expect. Fundamental to that is that field healthcare professionals are in a life-saving situation at a moment's notice all of the time. And what that really means is that they're a moment's notice away from emptying the contents of their gear. Should they really be thinking about inventory management? Right now, EMS lacks a flexible and inexpensive inventory management solution. Of the few existing solutions, there is not one that's capable of tracking both static and mobile inventory in most operations. Static inventory is like that picture on the top left. That's stuff that's sitting on a shelf in a room. While mobile inventory is like the picture on the top right. That's supplies and things that are in gear bags, on apparatus, out in the field. Right now, Once inventory leaves the warehouse for the vehicle, the gear bag, or even most ambulance supply rooms, its software tracking ends. Most of EMS still working off paper checkoff sheets. Really, a $31 billion industry is still using pen and paper to check their gear. On the bottom left, that's a picture of the paper checkout sheet I use at my work. On the bottom right, those three pictures, that's the highly technical process by which my supervisor texts me a combination so that I can access the narcotics pouch that I need for my shift. When done correctly, operative word correctly, it takes the average field about 45 minutes to do inventory. And this is an industry-wide thing. It takes about 45 minutes, average crew, to do inventory. And I can tell you two things about that. One, the crews, they're not showing up 45 minutes to do this stuff for free before their shift. And two, they're not spending 45 minutes to do it at all. Based on my experience in polling quite a few other paramedics who are in my area, the average crew spends about 15 minutes checking their gear. Based on that figure of 15 minutes, EMS operations in the US waste about $1 billion every year paying field staff to do inventory inaccurately. This is really a last mile problem, and it leads to mistakes and tremendous inefficiencies. So what are we doing about it? At the most basic level, we're making an app. This app works with the latest and greatest in RFID tag technology. It's now possible to integrate the functionality of your phone's contactless payment technology with the range of generic RFID into a single tag. And these tags, they can be built into anything from a disposable sticker to a fixed metal label. And they can be applied to any object. That allows any person with a smartphone to access or update information about that item instantly. Importantly, this eliminates the requirement for specialized equipment, which when you lose, break, or otherwise fail, render the user unable to check their inventory. But this still requires some underpaid, overworked field medic to check inventory manually. And as you might recall from the last slide, they don't do a very good job of that. So our goal is to automate this process, minimize the human in the equation. And we plan to do that by creating hardware that's optimized to work with our software. And we're starting by reinventing the medical bag. Think about the doctor's bag for a minute. Hasn't really changed in about 2,500 years. So we're making the bag smart. It's the bag that tells the user, in this case, the field paramedic, what's in it, what needs to be replaced, and when. And by proxy, it's sharing that data all the way back up the chain, the supply chain, to the management teams. But we're not just making a bag or even one bag, we're making an ecosystem of hardware. To track inventory that's not in a bag, we're making the Smartpak controller, which for all intents and purposes is a jerry-rigged RFID reader modified to work wherever it's needed. A single controller can be used to make an ambulance smart, or multiple can be connected into a mesh network to make the entire warehouse smart. And the result is a real-time cataloging and self-reporting system. So with our hardware fully implemented, the process of inventory cataloging can be entirely automated, eliminating the need for manual checkoffs. But because you can use your phone with our system, field professionals will always be able to do what they need to do with their inventory, no matter what. That can be narcotics, that can be expirables, stretchers, ambulances, radios, any equipment, period. And it can be done anywhere. It can be done in a warehouse, it can be done in a supply room, the back of an ambulance, in a helicopter, even in the back of a tractor trailer rig. You can even set this up in a field tent in a parking lot during a disaster. But perhaps the most important feature is that of operational continuity. If you're downrange and it hits the fan and you lose power, don't have access to the internet, that's not a problem. Smartpak's products are capable of remembering their own inventory, even if they can't connect to the cloud. They're designed to share that data directly to the user's phone and with each other to maintain local inventory when everything goes offline. Every product has its own independent backup power, and it can be operated in a low power demand setting in the event of extended absence of wall power. When stuff's flying off the shelves during a disaster, our products are designed to keep those in the field accessed with critical information they need to keep going. So what are our benefits? Smartpaks, like CS mentioned, it works like a checkout-free shopping experience. The field paramedic, he grabs a vial of medication off the shelf and he puts it in the bag, and the whole system automatically updates in real time. And that update can be seen across any internet-enabled device. When that medic later pulls that medication out of the bag, along with the other half dozen things he needs, that data becomes a valuable insight into their clinical performance. Of course, this can be done virtually with any volume of inventory, and it can be rolled out inexpensively for any healthcare operation. And of course, the system is so easy to use that the majority of the time, the field medic doesn't even remember they're using it. As a result, this enhances efficiency. This significantly increases productivity. It improves accountability, substantially minimizes liabilities, reduces wasteful spending, and above all, it saves money and it saves lives. That's what we're doing. So what's the competition look like? On the hardware side of things, the average bag costs about $250, with the most expensive bags being about $500. On the most expensive side, these bags are literally bulletproof, as in they have ballistic plates in them. They're fluid resistant and they have more space, but still none of them provide any insight into the inventory. On the software side, the market is heavily undersaturated, with most services still using pen and paper. There are about 6 companies who are in the market, only 2 of which integrate some form of RFID. Both of these companies require an expensive proprietary handheld scanner and actually require someone to operate it on a regular basis. So us versus them. All of us have some form of inventory analytics. All of us can do inventory tracking if it's sitting on a shelf. For the exception of the 2 companies using RFID, which provide limited field tracking, only Smartpak is able to fully track mobile inventory. Smartpak is, once again, the only one who doesn't require someone to manually do inventory or exclusively rely on an expensive proprietary scanner, which when lost or broken, negate the ability to do inventory. Only Smartpak can operate without connection to the server for extended periods of time without wall power. And chiefly, Smartpak's products are designed to be firefighter proof. Constantine, what does firefighter proof mean? This means the device is stupid simple to use and is incredibly difficult to break. You can tell I'm a paramedic and not a firefighter. All right, so what's our market look like? Our starting market, which is EMS, it's worth about $240 million. Now, this value grows at the same rate as EMS in America itself does, which is about 10% year over year. Our total addressable market, however, is closer to about $2 billion. And this includes the closely related markets of fire services and emergency management. It's important to note here, however, that there's a significant potential for self-reporting mobile inventory management systems in quite a few other markets. And I'll say specifically, once we address the first markets that we're looking at, the military and other defense applications are hugely interested in this sort of need. We're starting where we are because these markets have a respectable value and are largely going unnoticed or not getting any attention from the big players in the industry. So how's this going to make money? On the software side, compared to the market, we can anticipate our lower tiers to range from $99 to $4.99 a month. The difference in tiers is measured by access to features, including the difference between personal and agency level accounts, and by the volume of inventory needing to be tracked. For reference, an average full-sized EMS bag has about 270 tag-worthy items, while the average ambulance has between 400 and 450 taggable items. On the hardware side, we have 2 avenues for revenue going on. The first is selling RFID tags, which is the razor blade model approach. Basically, this means we sell most of the tags we offer for slightly more than what they cost. But because of the massive volumes in which they'll have to be purchased and then repurchased, those narrow margins will add up very quickly and provide a relatively stable form of cash flow. Keep in mind that the vast majority of inventory in healthcare is only single use. The other thing we're doing, obviously, is selling gear. In phase 1, that's the smart bags, which gives way into our Smart Narc series of narcotics tracking products. In phase 2, that's our automation hardware, so the Smartpak controller and other related accessories. In phase 3 is when we start breaking into the more niche products like our Smart Aux device, which is a little IoT sensor that allows a Smartpak app user to see the oxygen levels of all the cylinders currently in or on an ambulance in an entire fleet of ambulances. At that point, we start breaking into fleet tracking. So that's our Smart Bus OBD device. Essentially, that allows maintenance teams to see the status of any ambulance, as well as any error codes that might be present on the dash without actually having to have the physical ambulance in their possession. On the product development side, for the hardware, each phase has an A, B, and C. The A is going to be the design and specification, so establishing our requirements and the designs. B is engineering. So for the most part, we're modifying commercially available goods. That's the great thing about this is we're not really inventing anything new. We're taking stuff that already exists and we're putting it together in a new way. And then of course, in phase 3, it's manufacturing. So we have some contacts in China that we're working with right now. We're also looking to see about doing some manufacturing in South America. This is mostly our prototyping and field testing of goods. On the software side, it's pretty standard, phase 1, 2, and 3, research and development, app design, that's the UI, UX, and then phase 3, that's the alpha phase trial. After those phases, it turns into the beta version series, which you see with every other piece of software. And of course, I'm not doing this by myself. I have my partner, COO, Ken Platt. He's a seasoned business executive, has extensive experience across multiple industries, including medical devices, semiconductors, nanotechnology, communications, high volume consumer products, contract manufacturing. He's really an expert in this sort of thing. And of course, we have the support of Angelos and the Accelerator, who have been instrumental in where we are so far. So we're a development phase company, and in the seed round, we're looking for about $1 million. Use of funds is largely R&D. At this stage, it's mostly on the development side, as well as the other standard startup costs that you would have for paying people to do things, excluding myself. Strategic partners, we're looking for people who think they can provide value to us, one of which, as CS mentioned, is Acadian Ambulance Service, who happens to be my employer. They have already committed to allow us to do our beta trialing of all our goods through their stations here in the Central Texas Division. And they have already expressed interest in not just buying our products once we have them, but investing them into them right off the bat. People like the International Accelerator, who, as you guys are familiar, provides me the physical infrastructure to do what I need to do. We're looking for any other early adopters similar to Acadian and anyone with any healthcare services or RFID experience. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask them now. The top is my contact information. The bottom is my partner, Ken Platt's. Ask away.
All right, great presentation there, Constantine. We do have a few questions here. The first one is, would you like to make something for photographers and videographers who spend a good deal of time packing bags and sometimes the entire vans of equipment with many small parts that are critical?
Absolutely. And my sister actually brought this up the other day. You got to understand, it's, we're starting with EMS because that's what I know really well. And if you master the world of EMS, which is a highly OCD world that has to work 100% of the time, you can pick this up and apply it to any other industry. Those photography bags are an awesome example. Got to have all the lenses in there. But if you forget a lens, that's an inconvenience for you. In EMS, if you forget a medication, that's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So yes.
Okay, great. Another one we have is, are your tags reusable?
So it depends on the tag. The majority of tags are, and I have a little model here for you. The majority of tags look like this, right? They have some sort of interlay attached to an adhesive that allows you to attach it to any item. And the sticker type ones, those are single use. Now, they're looking to be about 15 cents a tag. So these sticker ones are not that expensive. For other items like monitors or stretchers, which are reusable and they're going to have tags forever, those are going to be, between $10 and $40 a piece, reusable. So there's no real limitation as to how many times the tag can be scanned. The only limitation is the item it's attached to. So in this case, we have a vial of medication and it's already expired. So I'd be throwing this medication away, and as well as the tag.
All right, perfect, thank you. Another one we have is, given the Buy American mandate for US government purchases in the president's last speech, is there any possibility for manufacturing this in the US?
That's one thing I'd like to do, especially because we know we want to go sell to the military, and a lot of emergency management is, municipality based. That is something we're looking to do. We're still pretty early development phase, so we're trying to see what our options are. Obviously, buying from China or from South America makes it a lot easier for us to sell, especially in the beginning, because it's less expensive. But those government contracts, those are high value. So if we can do it in the US, personally, I'd like to do it in the US. So.
Okay, cool. Another one we have is for the $1 million that you're trying to raise, is it going to be a price equity round, or is it going to be a convertible note or a safe? And Angelos, you may also want to chime in on this one.
Definitely will be a safe. That is the instrument that we have used for all of our portfolio companies. And the safe will have a discount of about 30% and a cap.
Okay, another one we have is, what is the expected price and margin per smart bag?
Great question. So for the smart bag, it's going to be about $50 to manufacture. So that's about $10 in textiles, $20 to $40 of actual technology and integration. And then if we're doing it from China, that's about $50 in shipping per bag. So the whole process for us to get a bag here is about $100. Times 4, it's about $400. So you got to keep in mind here what's really, really valuable, and no other bag really in existence right now can do this. If you're an EMS service or any operation using our bags pay for themselves. Being able to have that insight into your bag means the amount of money you're going to save on wasteful spending and just the liability alone associated with a medic in the field giving an expired medication, that pays for itself 10 times over. So at minimum, we're looking $400. Likely that we can probably price that closer to $700. Again, for the basic fact that, you know, in a year, this bag will have paid for itself.
Konstantin, I have a question, and that is, what is the time frame that these bags are expected to last? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Or is it 2 or 3 years?
Great question. So in the market right now, the average bag only lasts about 2 to 3 years before they get destroyed and have to buy a new one. So we'd like to make our bags last about 4 years. If you're going to pay $400 to $700 for a bag, it better be good. So again, these bags are firefighter proof. So if I accidentally run over it with my truck or I drop it out of a helicopter, in theory, I can pick it up back up and replace the computer module if I have to. So the bags themselves should be about 4 years.
And another one we have is Apple just announced a similar tagging hardware application. How do you compare with them, and how do you keep from competing with you?
They're really cool, actually. I really want to buy those. I've been looking at them. They're very expensive per tag. So as I mentioned in one of my earlier slides, there's about 270 taggable items, and most of them are medications like these. You're not going to spend $20 or $30 on a tag for every one of these, right? This is a 15-cent tag, and I don't think Apple's going to be able to sell their tags for 15 cents a pop. So their application is really not the same as ours. We're focused on a lot of inventory in small volume, and we're also focused on the bags themselves being self-reporting, right? So, you know, they're making a different approach. I don't really know that they're applicable to this particular field.
Okay. Another one we have is, do you see any other applications for this besides just ambulances?
So ambulance, again, that's EMS, emergency medical services, mostly ambulances, helicopters, that sort of thing. That's where we're starting, right? Then we break into the fire service, which I know for some people this might be confusing, but when we're talking about the fire service, we're talking about the 50% of fire departments which don't operate ambulances. They do exclusively fire ops, as well as all the people who do operate ambulances and fire trucks, right? So fire itself is a massive industry. Emergency management, which I don't know why, but hasn't gotten any attention from any of the asset management. And that's FEMA, that's the state level, that's all of your local departments of Homeland Security. No one's given them any attention. I deployed to Louisiana 6 months ago for a hurricane and spent an entire 12 hours inventorying an 18-wheeler. And let me tell you, just the stuff in that is probably 12 ambulances, and that was for one 18-wheeler. So to give you an idea, that is an enormous market with very little people in it. Outside of emergency services, there's the military, right? So again, they have bags with stuff in it in large volumes, and they're operating well away from home. So military is the next obvious go-to. And then, you know, cameras, or really anything that you can think of where you have to have all of your stuff in either a bag or in a truck, and it has to be out in the field.
Okay. Well, that wraps up our questions for you, Konstantin. Really appreciate you going through those. And again, great job on the presentation.
Great. Thank you all for your time.
Yeah, awesome. Super illuminating presentation. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining us and sticking around. We will be sending a copy of this showcase out to y'all, so check your emails. And we'll also stick the video on our YouTube channel as well. If you would like to further your interest in the accelerator, please reach out to us. Maybe fill out a mentor form online or send us an email to say hello. We're going to leave the founder emails up on the screen for everyone, and hope you join us at the next event, maybe happen in June. So thanks, y'all, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Great job, CS.